Hello everyone, this is Husky here, and I am back with some more special tactics. Now I do want to mention that I have to record this to an external hard drive, so it is going to lag a little bit more during game. Hopefully it is not too unmanageable, and if it becomes too bad, then I will figure something out. But for now, we're getting about 20 frames per second. Usually it hovers around 30, so hopefully it'll be good. But I figured what better game to test this recording on than a special tactics. So we are indeed going to be having a special tactics game. Of course, that means WhiteRa is going to be here, so he is going to be spawning down in the bottom right side, and in the bottom left side, it is going to be Avekaten, not quite sure how to say that, but he is currently ranked 20th on the Grandmaster server in Europe, which means that he is not bad at all. He has about a 60% win rate. It's a little bit over 60%, so he has managed to break that very, very important 60% win rate, which if you do look at the top, I would say 100 players, the really, really good ones that you would expect to see at tournaments and such like that, have between a 60 to 70% win rate, and then sometimes they'll just be a crazy breakout where they'll have like 80%. I think that's one of the highest I've seen. In the top 100, and sometimes when Koreans are trolling on different servers as well, they will get a ridiculously high win ratio. But for now, the map is going to be Shakuras Plateau. And what does WhiteRa have planned for today? I really wish I knew, because special tactics always means that he's going to have something special planned. I just don't know exactly what exactly that entails, and right now it does look like he's going to be forward fast expanding, which I highly recommend doing on this map. And we'll see if he decides to wall in right at the ramp. That's usually what players are going to do. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and wall in right there. This is a map where you can easily wall in at the ramp. If you think about maps like Antigua Shipyard, it can be tempting to wall in at the ramp, but the ramp, the way it's positioned and its size, is not really the best for walling in quickly enough to block off lings or anything like that. This one is a little bit different though, just because the ramp is so small and you can cover it. I believe it's 3 buildings. If you place them perfectly, can block it off. You can also leave a little bit of an entrance to let yourself in and out if you do decide to. Now we do have the probe right there, gonna be trying to take, or at least prevent, the expansion from going down. But it does look like that's going to be a success. But for now, we do have the double canceled extractor there. It's going to give him a little bit of a supply edge. He is at 20 out of 18 supply, just waiting for that Overlord to indeed pop out. There he is right there. So buying himself a little bit of time since it did block the Expo. And WhiteRa was like, hey, where did the Expo go? So he went to scout the main base, see what was going on. And the mind game worked perfectly for him. And apparently I had my sound turned off, but it is back on now, and hopefully it's not too incredibly loud, as feeling out a new computer for recording, there's a lot of things you have to make sure you check. There goes down the gateway right now. After cannon, he saw the timing of the spawning pool makes him feel a little bit uneasy, and as it should. I mean, you can see these lings in the center of the map, but if our Zerg player decided to do some sort of timing all-in, where he uses his first injected larva to make all Zerglings rather than drones, then WhiteRa would have been in trouble. The probe trying to get up there to see if there's an Expo going down. It's not going to see the Expo itself going down, but it did see the drone going up there, and that's going to tell WhiteRa quite a bit as to exactly what our Zerg player is doing, because usually against the Forge Fast Expand, there's 2 really good builds you can do. There can be either a super all-in Roach Rush with Zerglings reinforcing it to try and punish that Expo. The problem is, though, is that the Roaches don't have a lot of maneuverability on this ramp right here. So even though the build does work, if there's any map that it's going to have trouble with, this will be one of them. It's not like a Tal'Darim Altar where you can spread the Roaches out and get a nice little concave, because, I mean, literally you can only fit, I don't know how many Roaches wide this is, maybe 5 or 6. And any more than that are just going to be kind of sitting in the back, not doing a whole lot. Especially if a force field gets involved, then that's when it gets a little bit messy. But having the 3rd base this early is going to be really the second option that a Zerg player can do, in that, well, the Protoss player is going to be getting up on 2 bases. So what the Protoss player is saying is we're not going to be doing a 1 base versus a 2 base. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my expansion, and then the Zerg player basically has to respond with, well, I can't do a 2 base versus a 2 base. So to be on even footing, it does need to be a 2 base versus 3 base, and apparently a lot of drones transferring up over here. This is a surprising amount. Was he just powering drones this entire time? He does only have 31, but very quickly deciding to saturate this 3rd base. I'm kind of curious as to why he did that. I mean, if you look at the saturation here, there's about 1 drone per patch, and almost the same story here in the main base, maybe about 1.5 drones per patch. And he's deciding, well, I'm going to take a little bit of a risk and saturate this one. Not only is it going to supplement his income a little bit better, but it's also going to mine this space out much quicker than if he were to have mined that many in his main base. But it is a risk because he transferred the drone so early, which means that the Zealot up here are going to delay the mining quite heavily. This is such a smart move by WhiteRa. The fact that he's delayed the mining already, I would say, has made this worth it, even if he ends up losing the Zealots. And look at this, though. Our Zerg player, Ave Catton, is playing the way that Zerg really have been playing, where instead of making Lings to deal with this, he just made more and more drones. And it becomes a situation where you make so many drones that even if you lose 5 or 6, it's actually not that big of a deal. If you lose a queen, not as big of a deal either. And because if you make Zerglings and then you lose drones, then that's when it really starts to hurt you. But look, he's going to lose maybe 1, 2 drones here. We do have 2 kills on that Zealot, but I mean, at the cost of a Zealot and a Probe, that's not even that cost of effective of an attack. So Ave Catton, I really like what he's doing here. Oh my goodness. It is indeed special tactics. We have a Fleet Bacon. Apparently I don't have the timer on. Hang on, I got to turn on the game timer. Let's see, where is it? I always forget where it's at. Oh, working under pressure. Oh man, I always forget where it is. Whatever. We'll turn it on for the next cast. But he has that at a very quick moment in the game, and he has double Stargate as well. Is he going to go double carrier this early in the game? My goodness, WhiteRa does indeed love his carriers, and I almost feel like every time I cast a carrier game, Blizzard doubts they're wanting to remove it in the expansion. Although I think Ave Catton's going to doubt why he put those drones there, but they are going to go ahead and get back to work. So crazy macro mode out of our Zerg flight. Oh, did that get scouted? Oh, one of them got scouted. I'm not sure if he knows that there is indeed a Fleet Bacon. Does he know about it? No, he hasn't spotted the Fleet Bacon. We also have Graviton Catapult on the way. Double Carrier on the way as well. And what's really funny about this, unless you're a Zerg player and then you're just going to cry, is that our Zerg player, Ave Catton, scouted this. He flew all the way in. He's doing everything right, scouting around the 6 to 8 minute mark, I'm guessing, so I don't have the timer down here. And he saw the one Stargate, and he's like, okay, gonna see some Phoenix, gonna see a couple Void Rays, so I'll throw down a Spore Crawler here and there, but I'm gonna be fine. Maybe I'll make an extra couple Queens. It's gonna be okay. He's even got some Roaches to deal with any pressure on the low ground. But WhiteRa says, nuh-uh, you're going to be having carriers in your base. Now, this is a build where WhiteRa literally has 2 Stalkers. And if you're wondering, how is WhiteRa getting away with this? Well, if you see, he does have the Stalker at the Watchtower here. So if anything pushes out, he's going to see it. And right now, it's going to be pretty standard timing on these Roaches. A little bit delayed just because of the heavy macro style of Ave Catton. But it does look like he's going for a big macro play here. So this is when the macro is going to start kicking in for our Zerg player. He's not mining off of one of the gas. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, but the Overlord's going to scout in here again. Now this time it's an Overseer, and he's going to see 2 Stargates with carriers on the way, and then he's going to say, oh, this is what you're up to. So the first 2 carriers are out, and this is not something that a Zerg player ever expects to see. And it's a situation where it's like, oh, I only have Hydrotech, a couple of Queens, and Spore Crawlers. This is actually something that carriers are really good against. So the carriers have arrived, and indeed with that Graviton Catapult completed, they can start going to town on these Queens. Now the carriers don't do a lot of damage if they're chasing a unit like we saw the Queen, but if they can do a straight up battle like this, they're going to be in great shape. The epicness is indeed lagging it a little bit, but that's okay. The carriers though, WhiteRa is not microing them. He's going to lose one of them. It does get focused down right away. And the second carrier has to kill off these Hydras. Hydras are going to be much more cost-effective versus this. At the same time, though, a huge swell of Roaches is attacking the third base of WhiteRa. There's a lot of Lings up here trying to slip in as well, but he did block it off with a couple of pylons there at the last second. And it is 140 supply to 80, but this one carrier is still alive. He is up to 8 kills, but he is dangerously low on HP. We'll keep him selected to see if he can rake in more kills, but the important battle is the one outside of the third base, or I guess directly in the third base of WhiteRa. And I don't think this one poor carrier who only has like 3 interceptors, no, he is up to 4, can actually protect this. No, he can't. This one does have 4 kills. The carrier in the main, where did he go? Oh, I think he retreated here to defend. He is up to 10 kills, but killing off Roaches is going to be cost-effective for the Zerg player, which is kind of weird to say, where it's like, oh, the Roaches are cost-effective versus the carriers, because obviously they can't attack the carriers. But the important thing, the resource that's very valuable right now for the Zerg player is time. And the reason I say that is because if he can get up some Corruptors, get that Lair Tech going, which he's deciding to do neither of instead. Oh, no, he does have a Lair Tech outside his natural, but he is double expanding off of this, so he's going to push his macro advantage that he's had since the beginning and just try and win with a huge swell of Hydras, some Roaches mixed in, maybe some Zerglings, to try and not only kill the carriers, but also give the carriers way too much stuff to shoot. Now we do see that WhiteRa going for the first extractor there, but a big amount of Hydras over here. This is like Marines versus carriers, where if they get under the carrier, it is lights out for the carriers. And actually there's enough Hydras here to kill the interceptors. So this rush I don't know if it's been worth it or not. I mean, our Zerg player has lost more, but killing off the Expo is a pretty big blow to WhiteRa. He does have a lot of cannons here trying to protect it. It is enough to hold off the attack from the Zerglings. So very important save there by WhiteRa. He's got to keep that expansion alive. He also has 2 carriers continuing to be produced here, adding on a 3rd Stargate because, hey, why not at this point? And he also has, that's not a mothership, that's a bunch of probes. So a big battle over here with a lot of Hydra Roach, which is a old school unit composition, but with no Colossus here to deal with the Hydras, it may be enough. He's trying to micro these back as best he can. You gotta remember that carriers are not as good as they are in StarCraft 1, where you can micro and move at the same time. So the carriers are forced to just kind of sit here, but the Hydra's not able to kill off the Interceptors as our Zerg player was focused somewhere else. He's making more Hydras and Zerglings right now, but what he really needs to get out is the Corruptors, especially now that the Mothership is here. This is like special tactics times 2, where he's going Mothership Rush and Carrier Rush at the same time. We do see Zergling Hydra now in the center. I think our Zerg opponent may have underestimated the power of the carrier fleet, especially when it is controlled by Emperor WhiteRa here. I guess I shouldn't call him Emperor because that is Boxer's name, but for this game alone, we are going to let him get away with it. Looks like he's going to try and stop the upgrades. He'll get it, preventing the +1 attack, potentially the +1 armor as well. Can he get it? The Mothership is here. Could warp in units if he decides to, although I don't know if he actually has any units. Looking at the units tab, no, he has a Zealot and a Stalker. 40 Interceptors between these carriers, and killing off the Queen right away. Apparently the Mothership will roast it. I always forget that that's how the Mothership kills things, is with fire. But I guess purging it with fire, similar to the campaign mission, where you can choose to kill everyone with the Mothership. At the same time, though, we do have a counterattack. Gotta try and kill the Nexus. Can he get it? It's so close. But the Zerglings do get destroyed there, as WhiteRa did re-add in all those cannons. I really like that positioning as well, where every single cannon is basically firing to cover that. And it also covers this right here, almost covering the ramp. So the positioning there is spot on. What's even more spot on is the amount of carriers he has. Now we need to start seeing some Corruptors out of our Zerg player, but the fact that he wasn't able to kill that ball of 4 carriers originally, yes, he killed 1 or 2, but wasn't able to kill the entire ball. That makes these carriers so much more powerful. I mean, when you start getting them in these numbers, he has 7 carriers right now, producing 3 at a time. He doesn't even need to make any ground units. He's literally spending all of his money on the fancy new carriers, and it's going to be tough for the Zerg player to deal with it with just pure Hydra. I don't think that Hydra is the correct response, but really, what is the correct response to a carrier rush like this? This is something that you almost never see, and look at this, he's focusing down the Overseers, so there's no detection here other than just a couple of Spore Crawlers, but those can be easily dealt with by the carriers as well. Our Zerg player does have a lot of Hydras, though. He's trying to kill off the Interceptors. No, he's going to go for the Mothership. Can he get it? A Vortex right there, going to suck in half the Hydras, and the Mothership trying to eat away, but she moves so slow. She is so fat, but it does look like these Hydras are forced to run into the Vortex, and needs to kill off these Interceptors if possible. If the Mothership has safely escaped. This is so many Interceptors now. How many Interceptors is he up to? 55, plus he's producing 4 at a time with the auto build command on the carriers. And I'm just waiting for the comment that says carriers are OP, because never have we actually seen a game where carriers look OP. But this may be one of them, as our Zerg player still responding with Hydra rather than the Corruptors, which Corruptors, if you just mass pure Corruptor, I mean, it's not going to be the best choice, because if he does decide to switch to a ground army, then, well, you really have nothing to kill it off. But getting a couple Corruptors in there will help kill the Mothership and also absorb a lot of the damage. Corruptors, if there's one thing they're good at, it is taking damage. They have a lot of armor, very high HP for their cost, and it is good for dealing with these carriers. The Hydras, they have a high DPS for their cost, but with no +1 upgrades, it's quickly becoming a problem for our Zerg player. We do have the +2 attack by WhiteRa completed. +3 is going to be on the way, making those Interceptors just do ridiculous amounts of damage. You have to remember, it's only 7 damage, but it's ×2, so every upgrade helps substantially. The Hydra's going to get under the carriers, but can he kill them all off? 1 goes down, but look at how quickly those Hydras die, which is going to immediately force the GG, and I feel like WhiteRa's staying in the game for an extra second just to enjoy his victory. I'm surprised he didn't fly around and kill off all these bases. And you got to remember that this Zerg player is ranked about 20th in the Grandmaster League in Europe. And so for him to lose a game to a carrier rush like that, I almost just want to go back. Just go back to the days when we were younger, when the carriers were just now spawning. Let's see if I can scoot far enough ahead here. Maybe a little bit more. Because the first 2 carriers, I think, are the ones that you have to kill if you're going to be a Zerg player. in this situation. So we're going to speed this up. Away go the carriers. Do-do-do-do-do-do. And he also has the interceptor set to auto build. Of course, you just right click that and it'll set him to auto build. And here he goes right here. So when the Zerg player realizes there's 2 carriers here, I think he may have saw 1 over here, and he says, okay, well, there's carriers here, so I'm just going to counterattack because my Zergling Roaches aren't going to do a lot. And at this point in the game, I mean, the Zerg player is really not in that bad of shape. If you look at everything on paper, he's 148 supply to 84. He's going to be countering and taking out a 3rd base with all of these Zerglings, which is going to be a very cost-effective way for him to deal with that. And he has those 11 Hydralisks on the way. Now, 11 Hydras is enough to deal with 2 carriers, I would say, especially since WhiteRa left these carriers over the Spore Crawler right here. So we're going to go ahead and watch this battle unfold again. WhiteRa is focusing down the Queen, which means he's taking quite a bit of damage here. The Spore Crawler, I mean, just look how quick this carrier actually takes damage from very cost-effective units. Now, he does need to focus down with those Hydralisks, and it does look like a couple of Hydras are completely out of position here. But honestly, I think that this is where our Zerg player, at this point in the game, should have thrown down a Spire. I think that after killing off the first carrier, getting the second carrier down very low HP, I think investing some gas and a Spire, I would assume, might be a better response here. And part of the problem is no drones in this gas, because he's going for a 6 gas play. And there is still drones alive in this one. But he does decide to stick with the Hydras, which I think is not the worst choice. I mean, they're pretty good if you can actually get the Hydras in position. But allowing the carrier production to continue is really what kind of punished our Zerg player here. So we do have this carrier spawning right here. And what does he do with these units after he kills the Expo is a pretty good question. And he does decide to retreat here, which, I mean, it does make sense. But you have to remember that these carriers are sitting here killing roaches rather than killing something that is worth the time, like drones. So if WhiteRa's forced to defend with carriers, I think poking up here might be a good choice. But maybe I'm mistaken. I just feel like the roaches aren't really serving any purpose at this point in the game, and it is buying time for more carriers to be on the way rather than having to force a warp in of units. Because did he even research warp gate? Yeah, he did. He did have warp gate right there. A lot of times I've seen WhiteRa not actually get warp gate if he goes something like this. And then the 3 carriers now are here, and since there's no Spire here to defend, that just means that the carriers can go unchecked. More Hydras are on the way, and he does run up directly underneath, killing off one of the carriers and then also killing the interceptors there. That was really good control. And on paper, our Zerg player still is in pretty good shape. But I think this is where it starts to slip for him a little bit, is when he can't lock down this expansion quite yet. And he decides to move out with the Hydra Roach, which I think putting on the pressure is smart. But the positioning here is just way too good. The Hydra's not able to get directly under the carriers. They're instead killing off the cannons, which is what the Roaches wanted to be doing. And then that, I think, is the point where our Zerg player lost it, where he didn't have the Spire Tech done. The Mothership is now out. The carrier count up to 4. With more on the way, of course, producing those 2 at a time, and just having no Corruptors on the field to deal with the carriers. So anyways, special tactics, man. You never know what WhiteRa's going to do. Kind of starting to play a little bit like Hero, where Hero, well, he relies a lot more on Micro, but WhiteRa using the mind games of Hero, where he is willing to go absolutely anything that he has to win. And oh no, these little probes are just sitting here. I just realized that. But they kind of make part of a wall, I guess, on the Nexus. Yeah, this is definitely a bad rally point. He does finally... No, he doesn't fix it. Then he rallies it to the Stargate. Oh, WhiteRa and your special tactics probe rallies. Let's see if he ever notices this, or if this actually stays this way for the entire game. Oh, no, he does finally. Does he fix the rally point ever? Yes, the special Nexus finally has set that rally point down there. This one, his rally point is fixed as well, unless it's rallied to the carrier, which it almost looks like it is. But I could just watch this replay like 4 or 5 times and just cast it differently every time, because watching carriers is so fun. And I am so sad. Blizzard, we need to have a talk. Taking them out of the expansion. Come on. Come on. They look so fun. They're awesome. Carriers have been around, of course, since StarCraft 1 days. And not even the Brood War days. They're an OG unit, man. OG original units. And there goes. He does take out the hatchery and then decide to retreat. So a good game indeed. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I sure did. Special tactics are always fun. WhiteRa having a pretty good success rate with carriers, but we'll see if they are the unit of choice in the next special tactics, because really, I never get sick of carriers. Anytime WhiteRa carrier rushes, I get a little excited, and I'm also curious how players deal with it. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.